This is China's largest ghost city, home to the biggest train station in Asia, surrounded by luxury office buildings, residential complexes, five-star hotels, schools, and hospitals. It's the Xiong'an New Area, a development project personally endorsed by Xi Jinping as a millennium plan. The Chinese government has poured 664.1 billion yuan, around $91 billion USD, into transforming what was once farmland into a sprawling, futuristic metropolis. But despite all the skyscrapers and modern infrastructure, the city is missing one crucial thing: people. Highways leading into the city are eerily empty. In the city center, brand new government offices, office towers, residential areas, and luxury hotels stand quietly, with hardly any shops or restaurants open for business. Several online vloggers have posted videos showing the emptiness and silence of Xiong'an.
This is Xiong'an, a city where nearly 1 trillion yuan has already been spent. It's so clean, the streets don't even have a speck of dust, not a single footprint in sight. With a name as famous as Xiong'an New Area, you'd expect it to be a bustling, lively city. But who would have thought? This is what Xiong'an actually looks like today.
This
is Xiong'an. This is the Zhongguankun Science Park in Xiong'an. My impression is, there's no one here. Very few people. It's all buildings. Standing in the middle of the road? No one. Peking University People's Hospital. This is the Xiong'an branch.
Another TikTok creator visited Xiong'an area and showed that its cityscape is just as modern and impressive as any of China's top-tier cities. The place is filled with brand new apartment buildings, well-maintained parks, wide and clean roads, and complete infrastructure. On the surface, it looks like a picture-perfect modern city. But the problem is, it's missing one thing: people. The whole area feels lifeless and empty, with barely anyone on the streets and most of the shops still closed.
Right now, we're in Xiong'an New Area, Hebei. This is the Rongdong district, located on the east side of Rong County's main town. Take a look. The development here in the new area is really beautiful. The roads are super wide, and right here on camera you can see the biggest shopping mall around, the Outlets Mall. To the left of the mall you'll find residential buildings. Look at this. The whole area is filled with apartment buildings, and they're all nicely designed. The spaces between the buildings are really wide, and none of them are too tall, unlike in big cities where the residential buildings are usually packed together and very high. Check this out. This is the Outlets Mall, and it's also built beautifully. But now it's 5:43 in the afternoon, and there are barely any people here shopping or hanging out. The place feels really empty and quiet, with almost no one coming by.
So next, the blogger showed us around the outlet mall. It's got 4 floors in total, from the first all the way up to the 4th. The place is super clean, beautifully decorated, and honestly, it looks just as nice as any mall you'd see in a big city. But here's the weird part. There was barely anyone inside. Hardly any shoppers. Some stores were completely empty, and a few looked like they weren't even open. It really makes you wonder, how do these places even stay in business? Where's their profit coming from? And can they actually keep this going in the long run? It kind of feels like one of those projects that look fancy on the outside, but there's not much happening underneath. And it also makes people question what the local economy's really like behind all these shiny new buildings. The blogger also pointed out that this mall is a bit far from the county town center, and most people aren't willing to travel all the way out here just to shop. As for whether the business in this area will get any better in the future, well, who knows? A TikTok creator filmed himself around 11:30 a.m., getting ready to grab lunch on the streets of Xiong'an.
This street is in Xiong'an New Area, Rongdong Resettlement Zone. It's supposed to be the busiest commercial street here. This is the largest shopping mall on this street. It's also home to the very first KFC in Rongdong. Along the roadside, you'll see one restaurant after another, big and small. There's a hot pot place here. I've eaten there before. The food's pretty good. But no people. Standing here, even looking from the 14th floor, there's barely any traffic or crowds. You'd think there would be more people. Further ahead, there are a few more restaurants. The sidewalks are lined with eateries, but when you peek through the windows inside, No one. Barely any diners. With such big storefronts, just imagine how much money it costs to keep this place running every day. If you don't have 10,000 or 20,000 yuan to burn, you probably won't survive here. Yesterday, I even talked 3 so-called Mars entrepreneurs out of coming to Xiong'an. What's a Mars entrepreneur? In short, someone with sky-high dreams but completely detached from reality.
这个是雄安站。
Another video showed the high-speed rail station in Xiong'an New Area, known as the largest HSR station in Asia. It officially opened on December 27, 2020, alongside the Beijing-Xiong'an Intercity Railway. The station has a total floor area of around 475,200 square meters. To put that into perspective, that's equivalent to about 66 football fields. When compared to Futian Station in Shenzhen, previously Asia's largest underground HSR station, Xiong'an Station is nearly 3 times bigger. You can imagine the scale of manpower, resources, and financial investment the Chinese government poured into this colossal project. The station is made up of 5 floors, 3 above ground and 2 underground, featuring 13 platforms and 23 tracks. However, as blogger pointed out, despite its grand and imposing architecture, the station felt eerily empty. At 4 p.m. on a Saturday afternoon, the vast interior space was almost entirely deserted. Not a single traveler was in sight. The sharp contrast between the majestic decor and the absence of people was striking. It wasn't until the blogger reached the security checkpoint that he finally spotted 2 passengers. And that was it. The ticket counters, waiting areas, corridors, and checkpoints were all devoid of other people. Only the occasional station staff member or cleaning lady passed by. A building of this size and cost, funded by taxpayers, raises an uncomfortable question. Just how much public money was spent on this project, and how little is it actually being utilized? It may hold the title of the largest high-speed rail station in Asia, but in reality, it's just a flashy facade, a huge waste of resources beneath the surface. A blogger from Beijing brought her mother to visit Xiong'an, and her mom couldn't help but laugh at how empty the city was.
这是北京西站，一会儿你看一看雄安站啊。雄安站这号称是亚洲最大火车站。他们看到过这样的车站，没有人的车站，这上已经很清静了。它这个有个绿色地标，跟着这个绿色地标下楼。
Then she took her mom to a park, and just like the rest of the city, most of the park was completely empty too.
公园毕竟3小时，无人车，无人高铁，
无人高铁，
旅游公交车，你觉得好看吗？
往里走走，没准里边就有特点了。
This content creator pointed out that, to be fair, this park is actually a well-designed and nicely built public space. If you happen to live nearby, spending a day here walking around, relaxing, or having a picnic would be a pretty good option. But at the same time, it feels like a bit of a waste considering how few people are actually using it. Of course, aside from the empty park, the only bit of life you'll find is a group of middle-aged ladies dancing to music in the square.
船来了，跟哥哥们牵一条弯弯的河，妹妹对面上那个绵绵的歌。走走走走走啊走，走到9月9。
比北京的露营都要开放。
Right after that, they headed to the city center, and it was just as empty. The blogger's mom joked that it felt like they had arrived on Mars.
对，这个是你看到的雄安印象，那咱得去那个官方雄安印象给你讲一讲，到底雄安咋回事，为什么没有人？肯定是有原因的。什么感觉？
感觉好像他妈外星人来了。这房子多好啊，盖的。
对，这真的是中心。妈，你在拍啥？
我在拍雄安酒店，无人酒店。
无人酒店。
地球要是没有了人类以后的第1年。 第2年、第3年，若干年以后还光成树叶了。
Xiong'an New Area is a state-level new district under the jurisdiction of Hebei Province. It is located in the central part of Hebei, on the plains east of the Taihang Mountains, with the terrain gradually descending from northwest to southeast, adjacent to the Baiyangdian Lake water system. It lies about 150 kilometers from Beijing and around 100 kilometers from Tianjin. The Xiong'an New Area includes 3 counties: Xiong County, Rongcheng County, and Ongxin County, as well as surrounding areas. On April 1, 2017, Xiong'an New Area was officially established and was entrusted with the mission of being a millennium plan and a national priority, immediately becoming a national focal point. According to official statements, this city is China's next nationally significant development zone, following the Shenzhen Special Economic Zone and Shanghai's Pudong New Area. News outlets have called it the city of the future. Since 2017, the government has invested 500 billion yuan, approximately 70 billion USD, to build this new city, planned to cover an area equivalent to 3 New York cities. By the end of 2025, Xiong'an New Area is no longer just a blueprint on paper, but has begun to take on the appearance of a modern city. So far, 383 major projects have cumulatively received 761.4 billion yuan, around 105 billion USD, in investment. The developed area has reached 190 square kilometers, with a total construction area of 45 million square meters, and 4,251 buildings have risen from the ground. Key infrastructure such as the Beijing-Xiong'an Intercity Railway, major urban roads, and high-speed rail stations have been completed and put into operation. As the central hub for relocating non-capital functions from Beijing, Xiong'an carries countless hopes and expectations. The goal of establishing Xiong'an New Area is very clear: to alleviate Beijing's urban diseases, relocate non-capital functions, and create a new model for urban development. This is because Beijing has developed at a rapid pace in recent years, facing immense pressure on its population, resources, and environment. The country hopes that Xiong'an New Area can serve as a pressure valve for Beijing, sharing part of the development burden. Data shows that in 2017, Beijing's permanent population reached 21.7 million, plus about 8 million floating population, bringing the actual population close to 30 million. Although population relocation sounds simple, implementing it is quite challenging. As China's capital, Beijing's main functions are political, economic, and cultural. However, most Chinese people still take pride in coming to Beijing to make a living and try every means to stay and work there. After all, Beijing offers more job opportunities and relatively higher incomes, though living costs are also high. Therefore, if population relocation is to succeed, careful consideration must be given to where these people will go, and this issue is one of the key factors determining Xiong'an's success or failure. A YouTuber pointed out that people who move to Beijing, known as Beipiao, come here primarily to make a living and earn money. If they are suddenly relocated elsewhere, it would have a huge impact on their lives. So, the best solution is to move some of Beijing's industries to Xiong'an so that people can follow the jobs. This is what people mean when they say, a single move affects the whole situation. Moreover, simply relocating people isn't enough. Their jobs, daily lives, healthcare, children's education, and even settling down and building new homes all need to be carefully considered. No matter what, the authorities claim they want to build this city into a city of the future, and a video reveals the ambitious vision behind Xiong'an's urban development.
Have you heard? Xiong'an actually has 3 cities stacked vertically. One above, one on the ground, and one underground. You heard that right. There's a city in the sky called Xiong'an Eye, a city on the surface, and a city underground. At first, it sounds a bit surreal, but anyone who's been to Xiong'an will have their understanding of cities and construction completely changed. The largest part is the underground city, which is nearly 30 meters deep and divided into 4 levels. B1, large supermarkets and parking spaces. 2, roads for vehicles. In the future, surface roads will be for driverless vehicles and buses, while private cars will travel underground. Utility services such as water, electricity, and network management. B, subway lines. One subway line operates 24 hours and goes directly to Beijing. Even more amazing is the city in the sky, called Xiong'an Eye. All of Xiong'an's big data is centralized here.
Some netizens have voiced their doubts, saying that while the vision is beautiful, the reality is far harsher. Although the Chinese government hopes to turn Xiong'an into the country's third major economic special zone after Shenzhen and Shanghai, it seems to have overlooked some crucial historical factors. Shenzhen's rise was largely thanks to Hong Kong. In the late 1970s, as one of the 4 Asian tigers, Hong Kong was already entering the later stages of industrialization. Several problems emerged during this process. First, factory land prices soared. Sometimes the cost of a single factory site was equivalent to the cost of 10 production lines. Second, labor costs increased sharply. At the time, Hong Kong's GDP per capita had reached high income levels, and young people were no longer willing to work in factories, preferring white-collar jobs instead. As a result, factories struggled to find suitable workers. On top of this, stricter environmental regulations and tighter government controls on pollution made it increasingly difficult for small and medium-sized factories to survive in Hong Kong. Meanwhile, just across the border, Shenzhen had a favorable geographical location, convenient transportation, and, most importantly, cheap labor. Naturally, Shenzhen became the perfect destination for Hong Kong's industries to relocate. Coincidentally, this was also when China began its reform and opening up policy, and Shenzhen was designated as a special economic zone. Large numbers of Hong Kong-based businesses and foreign companies began to establish operations in Shenzhen. Where there are businesses, there are opportunities, and people soon followed in droves. This is how Shenzhen gradually developed into one of China's most prosperous megacities. As for why Shanghai's Pudong was so successful, it was because it stood on the shoulders of Shanghai's powerful financial and trade advantages, naturally attracting global capital and talent. Netizens have also posted videos showing just how difficult it is to find a job in Xiong'an. It's just way too hard to find a job in Xiong'an. I just graduated this year. I saw all the news online saying how well Xiong'an was developing, so I packed up all my bags and came here. First thing, I rented a place. 1,000 yuan a month, gone just like that. Then I thought, I'd better hurry up and find a job. I started sending out my resumes like crazy. After a long time, the only options I found were either cleaning staff positions or jobs at state-owned enterprises and government agencies that required a master's degree. There's nothing in between. I didn't know what to do, honestly. After a while, I finally saw a job I thought was suitable. I immediately applied and messaged the manager saying, "Bro, I can work hard. Please give me a chance." The interview actually went okay. But when I asked about the salary, it was only 3,500 yuan a month, with only 1 day off a week. I was devastated. I thought about it and figured I might as well take it for now and keep looking for something better. In Xiong'an New Area, there are basically only 2 kinds of jobs: waitstaff jobs or government jobs. That's what the job market looks like here. Another man found a real estate sales job in Xiong'an, but the salary was far below his expectations.
Take real estate sales. It's one of the positions with the lowest entry requirements. Before I left, I thought with the current market conditions, a sales job should at least offer a base salary of over 3,000 yuan, and the working hours should be relatively flexible without too many restrictions. But after going for an interview, I was shocked to find out the base salary was only 2,000 yuan. Honestly, when I saw that 2,000 yuan figure, I was stunned. Absolutely stunned. It's already 2024. My very first job right after graduation 15 years ago offered a starting salary of 800 yuan. Now, 15 years later, the base salary for a sales job has only increased by 200 yuan to 2,000 yuan. It's way too low. When I applied for a job in Baigu, the base salary there was a little higher, around 3,000 yuan. But it was a sales position that required frequent business trips. and their travel allowance was 150 yuan per trip. I even asked how much was allocated for meals, and they told me it was included within that 150 yuan. Over 10 years ago, when I did sales work that involved travel, the travel allowance was already 160 yuan, with an additional 50 yuan for meals. So after 15 years, the job I found offers conditions that are even worse than what I had right after graduation. In fact, it feels like things have regressed. This honestly left me quite shocked.
Some netizens also joked that since Xiong'an is a century-long project, we can't expect to see results in just a year or two. As for where Xiong'an's future development is headed and how much more the Chinese government will continue to invest, it all remains uncertain for now. All we can do